Wow, guys, it's rumbling again in Ethiopia near the Fentale and the Dofen volcano and near the capital Addis Ababa. And that is overall a very densely populated area. And if you look at that map here, two earthquakes. So we had a 5.3 and then we had an aftershock roughly an hour later of 4.5. So that is in the higher range, guys. And I really thought that after we had the magnitude 6 on February 14th, that things would slow down, because I showed you the satellite pictures of the Fentale volcano. That is the volcano that is here. And I'll show you the Dofen volcano. These maps are really stupid, dear USGS, because they're not giving us any names. But we've got the Dofen volcano right here where this earthquake is. And we've got a major road here. This is also not good because they need this infrastructure to get goods from the coast into Addis Ababa. So not good that this is so close to that road. But we looked at the Fentale volcano, and the theory was that there was a magma intrusion going between Dofen and Fentale, because we saw it rumbling at Dofen with these phreatic eruptions, bubbling hot mud pools were forming, water was leaking, hot water, we saw cracks opening, and we saw at the Fentale crater here, the satellite picture, we saw white smoke coming out of the volcano, some degassing. And then after this magnitude 6 earthquake, I've showed you that the land rise had changed to, it looked like part of the crater here had collapsed, actually. So collapse means that the magma chamber underneath this Fentale volcano suddenly empty that fast that a deeper lying magma reservoir did not have a chance to refill the magma chamber quickly enough, like it does in Iceland, for example. But here it collapsed because it was empty. It's like an empty space underneath the crust that collapsed. And so we were kind of thinking, well, could that be it for a while? Maybe it's not refilling, but then we see these two earthquakes here that are happening right now. And I show you a little bit, a few other layers here. So if you look at the street layer, there's the Awash National Park, we have the Fentale volcano, and we have the Dofen volcano here, and then we have the capital area Addis Ababa here, and there's already reports that it was felt in this area, of course in this area, but also here, but also further up in this area. And if you look at the satellite, this is so very helpful, dear USGS, because it doesn't give us any description of anything, not even the roads. But since we know we've got the Dofen volcano here and we've got the Fentale volcano here, that's the Fentale crater, we can get closer here. And part of it, that's what we've seen in the last satellite picture, had collapsed. And then I just posted it. Maybe some of my viewers have seen that post. It seemed that that white cloud that was seen in the satellite pictures over the crater, where they thought, is it like fumaroles? Is this close to erupting? Has disappeared. Only if you zoom in at this crater here, we could still see some white smoke. And that has been quite a mystery why that had been there. So Fentale is here. And then we see the two earthquakes. So there is the road going through. So what is going on? And this is farmland here. Lots of farming, lots of rural areas, but also we can show the population density on that map. It shows us this is a highly densely populated area, guys, right? So we should not underestimate this. There's a lot of people, and there have already been damages through all these earthquakes. I take this away. And we also know that in this area, there's the Kessen Dam, where they worry that the structure might be impacted by all these earthquakes. Some said it's only built for magnitude 5.6, and we just recently had the magnitude 6. And that constant rumbling, that can damage structures for sure. So these strong emissions that came from the Fentale volcano were most likely methane. That's what they were thinking. In this region where we have some provinces, like it's called the Ethiopian Afar Triangle. And there is also this African Rift Valley that goes through, where it's basically tearing Ethiopia apart into pieces, similar to Iceland. So we had a magma intrusion. They're pretty sure that this was occurring along the end of the Rift Valley early this year, right? And it was definitely that ground uplift, that magma intrusion came with a ground uplift and a ground extension in this awash region that I just showed you between the Dofen and Fentale volcano. And after the earthquake activity decreased, which is kind of logical if the magma has flowed out of the magma chamber, then and the magma intrusion stopped, there's not that many earthquakes anymore because the magma is not moving around underground anymore, right? It's like someone's digging a tunnel. If they stop, the rumbling stops. But then we still had that mysterious cloud over the caldera of Fentale. And that's basically where the beginning was of that ground uplift, right? So they thought it's coming from the magma chamber of Fentale. And they did detect a land rise underneath Fentale at the beginning of this earthquake series earlier this year. And that has then turned into a subsidence. But the ground did rise 1.30 meters. So that's, if you take a large step, 1.5 steps, and over a widespread area, they were able to detect that land rise, basically 35 kilometers in a northeasterly direction. And while this magma intrusion occurred, we saw these hydrothermal explosions and all these mud pools, and we saw the volcanoes, like both volcanoes, Dofen and Fentale, becoming active. And then when everything seems to fade out, we saw that cloud over the Fentale crater. So they didn't know where it was coming from, but they had some new satellite pictures, also from Copernicus, and they said it's a strong methane emission at the Fentale volcano. And they said that the production rate of this emission was roughly like 60 tons per hour and 1,400 tons per day. This was an important finding because if we look at what happened at Fentale, right, this activity, the magma intrusion, the earthquakes, and then we see this methane gas, that gives the scientists a good insight what's going on underneath the crust. What are the processes that are going on there that cause the methane to come to the surface? What they think is that there was a magma intrusion that was flowing northeast out of the magma chamber underneath Fentale through like various cracks that are already there in this area and have formed in recent weeks. And that's also the explanation for the earthquakes. But also then the sinking that they saw is also caused by the magma flow. And we've seen this in Iceland. If there's a magma dike forming, we usually see valleys around it where the land is sinking, because the land is actually rising where we have the magma dike, this magma intrusion underneath. A magma dike, you have to imagine this is like a subway tunnel. The magma is building a subway tunnel and then it's filling it with magma. That's how these look. And the thing is, normally, if we have these kind of magma intrusions, magma dike forming, magma moving around underground, we see emissions of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide. So now we have methane gas. So they're thinking, and that would explain why we had these water fountains and the bubbling mud pools. So they think that there's a hydrothermal reservoir somewhere beneath that caldera or in the area where we've seen the magma intrusion. And that was basically released by that magma intrusion. And that's why we see that gas. So that is a hydrothermal reservoir, contains magmatic fluids that are coming out from the magma chamber that is underground, basically lower. So the methane gas does not come from the magma itself. It's just a byproduct if you have this hydrothermal system on top between the crust and the magma chamber, methane gas can be produced in a hydrothermal system by chemical reactions that are happening there. If carbon or water-rich rocks react with each other, and that seems to have happened at Fentale. And that now stopped, and poof, now we have the earthquakes again. So what's happening? Because the last magnitude 6 earthquake, it was very strong, and the epicenter was near the Fentale volcano. Shallow, only at a depth of 4.1 miles, 6.6 kilometers. So everything that's above 10 kilometers in depth is considered shallow. And that's usually what volcanoes do if they cause a magma intrusion. That was really strong, like over 50,000 people felt that strong shaking, very, very strong shaking. And over 40,000 people felt it very, very strong. And over 150,000 people felt it a moderate shaking. And we know that since January, over 100,000 people have been affected by this unrest in Oromia and in the Afar regions, and have been also evacuated. And the government is currently relocating residents from these high-risk areas to safer locations to mitigate the risk right now, because it doesn't seem to stop. And as I said, we have these expanding fissures that keep getting wider and longer, and with every rumbling, they can become more dangerous. And that's why they're also raising concerns about the Kesem Zabure Dam that holds substantial amount of water. And so if that structure fails, that could result in a catastrophe, in catastrophic flooding downstream, and that would affect and endanger hundreds of thousands of people. As I mentioned before, it's only engineered to withstand a 5.6. So guys, I'll be on this for you. I just wanted to let you know because it just happened. So if there's more reports coming out, I'll definitely report about this. It's rumbling still everywhere. A lot is going on. So look at my latest videos in the end screen. If you're new here, I would love for you to become a subscriber of this channel. And guys, everyone, please give this video a like. And if you want to support the channel, there's links in the description of this video. You can support the channel by becoming a member or by buying me some coffees on my Buy Me a Coffee site. So the links are in the description of this video. Check it out. Check out my start page. And I see you soon in the next one, because I've been just working on another video. I've been sitting on the couch with the doggies when I saw these earthquakes. So I thought, hey, I have to squeeze this video in before I do the next one. So stay tuned. Another one is coming very, very soon, guys. And look at my latest M5.3 update. The fish are coming out already cooked. The fisherman puts the net in the water and the fish is already cooked. What's happening, guys? I reported about it. You have to watch this video. Bye.